December 7, 2023, Thursday at 6:50 p.m. Having just cleaned up my old day job workspace area a bit and finally setting up a monitor that Andrew gifted me a few weeks ago seems to be making me feel a bit refreshed overall. I may add a couple of extra words that aren't on the written part, so deal with it. I'm hoping to keep my momentum and positivity going as I've had a few minor issues that have set me back a bit. And while I don't like to let my existence as a trans female define me entirely, it's a bit rough at times to just not help but feel like the world will never accept people like me, whether it's an event that I won't have it adjacent or most models that will not even, wow, that does not even, see, this is why I read out things. Basically, what I meant by that is that I won't be able to work with people that are adjacent to the industry just solely because of the fact that I'm trans and old antiquated standards that are mainly only being held up by agencies that book them, like your model agencies, not to name them specifically, will have this very, very archaic belief that if they work with a trans person, it's going to kill their career and it's going to ruin their reputation. And it's so dangerous to work with us. And if you do that, nobody's going to love you anymore. Basically, all the stuff that trans people have to deal with, they think that that's going to rub off on them. Minus the minus the infection and disease part, because we get tested by the same people that they get tested as well, and if not often, more frequent enough, because trans people got to get way more work in terms of scenes, having to do trade shoots with all of our friends and everything. So we're up in there just as tested, if not more than them. But that's what that little paragraph meant right there. Whatever. Back to actually being on the script of things. But whatever I say, I try not to think of that too much and not let it bother me as often. But the reality is, I run into it in my line of work on a near daily basis. The task is to try to move on and go on to the next best thing and be productive with my time. And I am quite lucky to have lived a full life many times from my early childhood, seeing some fucking gnarly things and being able to meet an amazing person to call my gay ass life partner. Someone that you all may know as Venus Sunshine, but I mainly just call her babe or fleshlight or hole, depending on the situation. Lately, also, I can't quite wrap my mind around the realization that I've managed to get FFS, facial feminization surgery, and breast augmentation as well for the uneducated there. That means I got my face done and my boobs done. Now, as far as the specifics, it means that I got my hairline lowered down because I got all the bad genetics from my family. I feel like they should have paid for this shit instead of me, but yeah, I got my hairline lowered. I got my brow bone removed. That's like the huge part where the eyebrow sticks are out. I got my eyebrow reconstructed in general, getting a brow lift. And I got my jaw and chin worked on, and my under chin, which would be like the double chin area, also worked on. So I got all of that just a little bit tweaked up. Nothing too extreme. I wanted basically just to come out there looking like a femme version of myself and just a little bit more prettier overall. The doctor did well with that. For those that are interested in which doctor I went to, for any of those girls that are interested in going that route of surgery, let me know, as I typically went through what would be one of the best surgeons in the world, frankly. I feel like a lot of the surgeons in the US are slipping, overcharging people for mediocre work. But I'll let y'all be the judge of that. And with that being said, I've been binge listening to one of my favorite podcasts, actually the first podcast I ever listened to when I was way too young. And I actually called in a few times and lied about my age. I am so sorry about that. I would heavily recommend you all to give it a listen to. If you love me, you'll likely enjoy this. It's now under the name of The Invisible Cabin. That's THEE Invisible Cabin, or formerly The Bailey J Show. And I love that whole just setup, that whole show, everything. It got me through and kind of helped me grow up quite a bit. Um, and it was definitely my favorite type of background noise too when I should have been paying attention in school or just whatever other horrible shit was going on in my life and general background. Um, I've also been getting back into playing games for the first time in a while. Like my ankle injury and just a whole string of other issues have limited me from not being able to even walk out or run out or do much or even clean up the place, which is why I'm happy that I'm able to do this now. Um, but yeah, I'm getting back into playing games a little bit, and I'm enjoying that. I needed that therapy, just that distraction. I was able to finish Spider-Man 2, which was pretty good for a AAA game. Although I felt like it was a little bit short because I'm not tempted to replay it again. It suffers from that Assassin's Creed model where it's just like a whole bunch of little mini side quests that I recommend. At least my take is I always do them before I do the main campaign. That way you could just be way over leveled and not have that much of a difficulty. But one game that I can't do that with is the God of War Ragnarok, which I booted up after I finished Spider Man 2. And that game is so fucking long. A little bit boring at times, and definitely not my thing because I tend to not be into the whole Tolkien esque type of universe where it's like Middle Earth, dwarves, elves, all of that other shit. But I like it. It's okay. It's a good time waster. I really want to get into Cyberpunk 2077. So if anybody wants to, buy me that so I can also play the Phantom Liberty package, I would definitely appreciate you and love you quite a bit, and maybe might give you some extra, um, some special care and some extra attention if you catch my drift. But there's another more affordable game that caught my attention when I was just eyeballing some other stuff. It's called Ocho, but it's spelled OTXO, and that is actually my entire jam. I love everything about that game from what I see. It has a kick-ass soundtrack, and it has a gameplay that takes me back to like the Hotline Miami 1 and 2 days. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And you might be able to hear my cat wanting to get off of my work area because she associates me not paying attention to her with me being in here too. So I think that's actually a cue for me to keep this one nice and short. I'll see you all for the next one, and hopefully let me know if you like this. I might just make this into the series of where I bring my podcast back, and it's just me with the occasional guest from time to time. See you all later. Love you all. And thanks again for sticking around. Mwah.